the work that we do for the community. Although today I'm actually going to be looking for anybody else who'd like to join us and help us out. It's a well-known charity. We have won the King's Award for the voluntary sector, and we shall be receiving this award in only a few weeks' time. So rather than just putting on your CV perhaps that you're working for a charity, that you've been contributing to a charity, you can now also say you've been contributing to a King's recognised charity. Okay, so what do we do, or rather, how can you help us? How can you take part and giving to the community? Okay, so on a Tuesday rather, we run a food bank. Okay, so anybody can come along on a Tuesday morning from 10:30 till 12:30. You need food, you might need it temporarily, you might need it on a longer term basis. We give you per year, in effect, 12 tickets. So you can come either every week or you can come maybe once a month, however you need food. And of course, we'll never turn anybody back if they're desperate, if they are in huge need. So we have typically 3 people. We need 3 usually to help out. Somebody manning the queue of people, making sure that everybody's in a nice strict line. People get served in order. We've got people inside the food bank finding the kind of foods you need. We get food throughout the year, some of it with a good shelf life and some of it with a very, very short shelf life. So, for example, on a Monday, we travel around to various shops that are willing to help us. Co-op is a place that I've been to many, many times on a Monday. And all the food that's about to go out of date, they pack it up for us, and we take it away. We've got a fridge in our food bank, and any new foods, any frozen foods, we put away. We get a lot of sandwiches, particularly, as I say, all sorts of sandwiches from almost all the 6 stores that we normally visit. And in fact, now we've got other stores as well, such as Asda. I'm not sure if it's Lidl or Aldi. It might even be both of them. But there are several stores now that give us the food that they are going to throw away. Okay, we get a lot of bread, bread that's still in date. And as I say, we get food items that are going to go out of date in the next day or two. So as I say, they are all perfectly fine to eat on the next day, on Tuesday morning. So as I say, we collect them on a Monday, and if you'd like to help us drive around to these stores, collect the food, bring it into our food bank on a Monday evening, so it's all nice and ready for people who need it on a Tuesday morning. Okay, Tuesday morning, 10:30 till 12:30, just off the Cannock Road, where the number 2 bus turns, and on the corner there, the Park Village Education Centre. We are in the second door, and you'll see people waiting there on a Tuesday morning. And as I say, there'll be somebody there on a Monday evening as well, from who have been collecting the food from the different shops, all in readiness for a Tuesday morning. We also have some people that can't reach the food bank, and so for those people, we do home deliveries. So we'll pack up a meal, pack up food items for them, and as I say, we've got volunteers who will drive to their homes and deliver the food. So if you fancy doing that, then you're more than welcome to contact us, Secret Angels. You can contact us through the Iman 1 telephone number, 01902 972 150, or drop us a WhatsApp message to this radio station, and as I say, the message will reach the secret angels. Okay, the message will reach the secret angels. At this moment in time, I mean, it's obviously um, a period of fasting, um, but also we're coming up to Easter, and there are some children who may not get an Easter egg. Some unlucky children may not get any Easter eggs at all. So what we do every year is we have an Easter egg collection, um, and last year I think our target was something like about 350 Easter eggs, um, but in fact we actually managed to collect over 700. So if you'd like to contribute, you can bring some Easter eggs, bring them along to our centre, Park Village Education Centre, or contact us through the telephone number, and the more the merrier. So if you've got Easter eggs that you'd like to contribute, please give them. Please bring them down, and if you'd like to help distributing them, we'll be more than welcome to come and join us. Okay. So what else do we do? Well, sometimes we get given money, like a cheque from, I think we recently had one from Asda, a £500 cheque. And so with that cheque, we buy items that have a longer shelf life, okay, longer shelf life. So boxes of cereal, tins of beans, tins of soup, things which will last longer. So we've always got something with a good shelf life. And as I say, as long as the communities keep donating to us, and in fact there are some people who just give us cash, and we use that cash to buy items. As I say, we've got long lasting items. We've even got babies things, so we've got babies nappies, baby oil. We've got a little bit of something for everybody, so it's not just food. We have a little bit of something for everybody. We've also recently started our clothing bank. Okay, so for people who need clothes, we will happily take clothes and we will distribute them to the people who need clothes. So that's another one of our services that we run. Also, once a year, when it's Cancer Macmillan Coffee Morning, we run an event, and it changes from year to year. The location will be announced, but we will be collecting money for Cancer Macmillan. So that money does not stay with the Secret Angels charity. No, it's collected just for cancer relief. Okay, Cancer Macmillan Coffee Morning. All the money that we collect, I think we've collected £3,000 one year. We've reached £7,000 in another year, and as I say, we make that available to the local community. People can come from far and wide, come along, have some cakes, have some food, Sudanese food, for example, Indian food, Pakistani food. There's something there for everybody, or just coffee, tea, soft drinks. We have raffles as well. We collect money for, as I say, it all goes to cancer relief, and people donate prizes. As I say, we've got the local community. They give us prizes. We wrap them up, and as I say, that is available. Excuse me, that's my phone going off. Sorry about that. I should have switched my phone off. Okay then, so Cancer Macmillan, I've talked about. That usually happens around about October or November time. I've talked about the clothes bank that we run. I've talked about the food that we provide, typically on a Tuesday morning. But in fact, if you have a need and you can't come into our food bank area, then let us know, and we can deliver it to yourselves. Okay. Now I've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to talk about the one other big thing that we do, which is mostly my project, and that project is called Plugged In IT Skills for Everyone. Okay, so if I run out of time, I'll carry on in the second half of my show, but my show is also called Plugged In IT Skills for Everyone, and that's what we've been doing for the last few weeks. And in fact, in the second part of this hour, I'll be talking a little bit more about that. So, plugged in IT skills for everyone takes place in libraries. Okay, so on a Tuesday morning, whilst the food bank is running, I won't be there myself. I'll be in the Wensfield Library. Okay, sorry, not Wensfield, Willenhall Library. I keep mixing the two together. The Willenhall Library. Okay, just opposite the big Sainsbury's in Willenhall. Um, sorry, Wensfield. I always confuse the three. Okay, Wensfield Library. Wensfield Library, just opposite the, just past the New Cross Hospital. You'll reach the big Sainsbury's there, opposite the Sikh Temple. In the middle there, you've got the Wensfield Library. So I'll be there on a Tuesday morning from 10:30 till 12:30. Okay, if you are having difficulty with your computer, if you don't know how to do something in particular, if you just want to learn to use IT, maybe you want to learn to use the internet, maybe you want to learn how to make bookings for medicines or anything else, maybe you need some printing done, you can come along to the Willenhall Library on a Tuesday morning between 10:30 and 12:30. Alternatively, you can come along to the Warstones Library, which is on the western side of Wolverhampton. So if you come to the Warstones Library, come along between 2:30 till 4:30. I must admit that they have a baby time in the first half an hour, but they shouldn't be. You shouldn't be worried about that. Little babies, they sing songs and do poetry and so on. So it doesn't really interfere. So come along on a Warstones Library on a Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 till 4:30. Alternatively, maybe you live near Dudley Road. So if you live near Dudley Road, come along to the Blakenhall Library, which is inside the Bob Jones Community Centre. So in the Bob Jones Community Centre, there'll be lots of activities, other activities taking place there, but I'll be sitting there on a Wednesday morning between 10:30 till 12:30. So come along, bring your laptop with you, bring your computer with you, bring your telephone with you if you don't know how to do something with your mobile phone, or indeed you can just use the library's computer. They have several computers there, you can use one of those. And if you want to know how to use IT in general, I can talk you through that. I can show you how to do various things with IT, with the computers. Or as I say, if you want to bring your own device, then you're welcome to bring your own device, and I can talk you through whatever you need to do. I don't know everything. I'm not very good with Apple computers, but as I say, certainly I can help you with Android and Microsoft computers and so on. So you're welcome to come along if you need any help with IT or mobile phones. And then of course we've got Wednesday afternoon, and that is the Whitmoreens Library. So the Whitmoreens Library is in the Avian Centre, just at the back of the Avian Centre. So come along, same sort of thing, 2:30 until 4:30. So if you need help with IT, then please come along to any of those four libraries. Now, on a Thursday, the Central Library provides the same sort of service. So I won't be there on a Thursday, but the Central Library also provides help with IT skills. So I've got about 10 seconds left. So you're welcome to come along to any of those libraries if you need help. And as I say, if you come to where I am, I'll see you there. Thank you. Good afternoon. You're listening to Iman One, your local voice, broadcasting 24/7 from this year onwards, all year round. Okay, so hopefully you're tuned in for inspiration, reflection, and community connection. If you'd like to join in, our radio station studio telephone number is 01902 972 150. Alternatively, you can send us a WhatsApp message on 07440 420 432. My name is Rajiv Dhanjal, and you're listening to Plugged In IT Skills for Everybody. Excuse my frog sounding voice. I've got a slight cold coming on, so my apologies for that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about today. In fact, this is the as Ramadan comes to a close later on this week. This will be the last of my Monday shows. Okay, the last of my Monday shows. But if you want to see me, if you want help with IT skills, for example, those who are listening to the previous show about 10 minutes ago, you'll remember that I am available in the libraries in Wolverhampton Libraries. I'm available on a Tuesday morning from 10:30 till 12:30 in the Wensfield Library, which is between the big Sainsbury's, past New Cross Hospital, between the big Sainsbury's and the Sikh temple there. So I'll be there, Wensfield Library, between 10:30 till 12:30, and you can come along with your IT related questions. Either bring your own mobile phone, mobile computer, laptop computer, or you're welcome to use the equipment that's already in the libraries. So that's on a Tuesday morning from 10:30 till 12:30 at the Wensfield Library. Alternatively, you can come along to the Warstones Library, which is on the western side of Wolverhampton, and there I'll be at the Warstones Library from 2:30 till 4:30. Come along, there'll be little children doing nursery rhymes, but hopefully they won't interfere with what you need to ask me. Okay, alternatively, you can come along on a Wednesday morning to the Bob Jones Community Hub, which is where the Blacon Hall Library is, and I'll be there from 10:30 till 12:30. Or again, alternatively, if you're in the northern side of Wolverhampton, come along to the Whitmoreens Library, and that's from 2:30 till 4:30. As I say, I can be found in one of those four libraries depending on the day and the time. And so if you have any questions, any IT related questions, do come along, and I'll try and help you as much as I can. Okay, so I've got a little mixture of different things that I talk about, but a lot of it is what people have been asking me in the libraries. So one thing I'm going to talk about now is URLs, okay? Universal Resource Locators. And in fact, this radio station, which can be found on the internet at www.iman-1, so that's IMAAN hyphen 1 ONE.com. Okay, so that's .com. So there isn't very much on our page yet, but there is a, in fact, if I pull it up now, there is a landing page, and at the bottom of the landing page there's a contact us. So if you pop your name in, your email address and the message you'd like to send to us, you can send us that message, and we'll get back to you with whatever you need to know. Okay, so URLs, the URL for this radio station, www.iman-1.com. So what is a URL? A URL is a unique way of contacting a particular web server. Okay, so you've probably heard of www.bbc.co.uk. Most of the big supermarkets these days, Sainsbury's, Asda, etc., they have unique resource locators, And a unique resource locator, sometimes you'll find that there's a forward slash at the end after the .com or after the .co.uk. Um, the charity that I work for, secretangels.org.uk. That's a universal resource locator. And these things under the covers are converted into, in fact, lots and lots of ones and zeros, 32 bits, 32 ones and zeros. So under the covers, just like telephones, really not really names. Those names exist in your own telephone. Um, Likewise, the internet doesn't really run on URLs. It does to make it easy for people, but under the covers, all URLs get converted into 32 ones and zeros, and that's called an IP address. Okay, that's called an IP address. And the IP address, if you've heard of IP addresses, is a physical location, generally a physical location, some sort of web server somewhere on the internet. Okay, somewhere on the internet there'll be a web server, and it'll have a unique name. It'll have a unique number rather. And in fact, we kind of ran out of numbers, unique numbers, several years ago. So just like those of you who remember, in the old days, telephone numbers were 10 digits long, and now telephone numbers are 11 digits long because we ran out of numbers. Likewise, IP addresses, we ran out of IP addresses several years ago, so they had to have a new system. So if you've heard of IP version 4, that's where your 32 ones and zeros are. Now we have IP version 6, so we have a lot more numbers. And in fact, the numbers aren't so easy to remember these days. So to make it easy for people, we don't really connect using those numbers, those IP addresses. We actually have something meaningful that is easy to remember. But likewise, with all email addresses, if you've got a name like something very, very common, like Mr. Singh or John Singh or John Smith, or a very, very common name, you're unlikely to be able to get that as a domain name. Likewise with email addresses, you might end up being John Smith 475, something along those lines. Okay. However, unique URLs try to sound something like their location. So we were lucky, we got Iman-1. Nobody else had that, so we've purchased that. Likewise, secretangels.org.uk. These are places somewhere in the world. There will be a web server, and we call that hosting. So if you're the kind of person who wants to have their own business and you want to have your own URL, your own unique URL, then, as I say, if you've got a very, very common name, you may not be able to get that. You might have to have some number at the end. So, as I say, for people who want to host their own website, if you're a up-and-coming business and you want to host your own website, then you'll need two things. You'll need a URL. Okay, so a URL you can think of as an address. Okay, as an address. So, for example, if you live at 121 New Street, then 121 New Street is actually your address. And as it happens with addresses, 121 New Street is actually going to be most likely on New Street. Okay, most likely on New Street. So you can have an address. An address is a little bit like an inbox, you can say, or just a post box. And in fact, some businesses don't actually even have a physical location. They have a post box. So likewise, you can buy a URL, but it might not go anywhere. It might not actually have a physical location. So if you actually want to have a website, you need to buy what we call some hosting space. So that could be anywhere. And like I say, wherever it is, your URL points to that physical location. And in fact, you might have lots and lots and lots of different pages on your website, in which case you'll have a unique name for each of those pages, and that quite often happens after the forward slash sign at the end of the URL. Okay, so a little bit there about URLs and hosting. Hopefully I haven't confused anybody. Hopefully I haven't gone too deeply into what URLs are. But of course, come along to one of the libraries and I can talk you through it if that's something you'd like more knowledge about, more information about. Come along to one of the 4 libraries where you can find me. I mentioned that earlier on, and I can talk you through what it means to have a website or what it means to have hosting. Okay. Another question now, which I was asked recently: why do we have to keep pressing Control Alt Delete on our computers to get in? Why do we have to keep doing that? Okay, so before I answer that question, I'm going to say what I say every single show. Passwords, passwords, passwords. Make sure you know your passwords. Make sure you don't have easily available passwords like password or 1234. These are very, very easy to break. And of course, if you use a silly password, something that's really obvious, then I'm afraid you're going to get hacked. Okay, so what I always say is don't have anything too simple, but make sure it's a long password. And in fact, there's nothing to stop you having words. Okay, words. You can't have spaces, but join 2 or 3 words together, something that you'll easily remember. But the longer the password, the more difficult it is to break. Okay, the longer the password, the more difficult it is for people to guess what your password might be. Don't have Wolverhampton Wanderers. If you're a known football fanatic, then don't have something obvious like that. Don't have a pet's name, or if you're going to have a pet's name, have a very, very long pet's name. Okay, so passwords, passwords, passwords. Now, nicely brings me on to why do we have to do Control Alt Delete? Okay, now many, many years ago, in the earlier days of computers, bad people, hackers in other words, they would write a computer program that looked like it was your Control Alt Delete kind of login page. Okay, it looked like it, and what people would do is they'd type in their user ID, type in their password, and the computer program would say, oh, you've made a mistake, try again. And in fact, that was a hacking program, and because that's a hacking program, it's now got your user ID and password, and it stored it. And the person, the hacker, will come back to that computer later on and extract that computer user ID and password, and then they can then break into your account. Okay, they can then break into your account. Now, to stop that from happening, many, many years ago, as I say, Microsoft created this Control plus Alt plus Delete. That special combination of letters. Okay, nobody can write a program and capture those letters. There's only one computer program, and that's what we call the operating system. So whether you have Windows 11, Windows 10, Control Alt Delete always gets passed to the operating system. You cannot write a computer program and ask it for Control Alt Delete. Okay, you can't ask for that, and therefore, because it always goes to the operating system, that means you have to then use your computer user ID and password to get in. Okay, no hacker can get your details. Okay, so if you press Control Alt Delete, that always goes to the operating system, and that's the reason why we have that key sequence, Control Alt Delete. Okay, stops hackers. Now, of course, if somebody's standing behind you, if you're at the library, if you're talking over the phone, and you shout your login details, then I'm afraid they could well pick it up. Okay, they could well pick it up. So as I say, when you're typing in your password, make sure that nobody's watching, and also make sure that you don't use the same password for all your different systems. Don't use the same password. And the reason I say that is because sometimes there might be as I say, an insecure website which is asking you for your user or in password to log on, but unfortunately that website doesn't really um, make a good job of keeping your password secure. Okay, doesn't make a good job of keeping your password secure. In fact, they may even just put all the passwords for all the users into a little table which is easily accessed. Okay, so proper computer systems never actually store your password. What they do is something called a hash. Okay, hash, Hash. So what happens, just to give you a very, very simple example, your password, I've said it many, many times, under the covers it's all ones and zeros. Okay, the longer the password, the more ones and zeros. So a mathematical calculation takes place. Okay, mathematical calculation takes place. I'm going to give you a very, very simple example. Multiply by 171. Okay, multiply by 171. If you do that, you get a different number. Okay, now it won't be something simple like 121. It'll be some great big long number that we multiply by, and that is what we call a hash. Okay, that's called a hash. Now, your hash is what gets stored. Okay, your hash is what gets stored, and the algorithm is designed so that if you know somebody's hash, you can't go backwards and work out what the actual password is. Okay, it's too difficult to do. Mathematically, it's just too difficult to do. So the longer the hash, the longer the password, the more difficult it is for somebody to try cracking your password. Okay, so the longer the password, the bigger the hash will be, and the more difficult it will be for anybody to break in. Now, to make life even more difficult for hackers, sometimes we use something called salting. Okay, salt. Okay, same as table salt that you put on your chips, for example. Salt. So salt is an extra little number that computer system knows, because, as I say, some people will just use something so simple like password or password one, and a decent computer system will not let you save something so simple. But not so good computer systems, they can't be bothered, possibly built by a hacker, they will actually use very, very simple systems to store the password. And in fact, if you hash and use the same hashing algorithm, somebody off a different computer system can say, oh yes, I recognize that. I recognize that hash. It's the actual password is password or password one. Okay, so what some decent computer systems do is they have something called salting. So salting is they will put their own extra letters somewhere within the password, and that is then hashed. So if you've got two different computer systems and you use the same password and they've got different salt numbers, then the two won't be the same. The two will not be the same. So that's what a decent computer system will do. It'll salt your password, it'll hash your password, and then it'll store the hash. Okay, it'll store the hash. So next time when you log on, we follow through the same process. We take your number, we add the salt, then we hash it, and then we check if the hash is what has been stored. As I say, any decent computer system, it should not be possible to work out what the original password is by just looking at the hash. Okay, So that's a little bit about why we have to do Control Alt Delete. It stops hackers from pretending to be your login page. Okay, Control Alt Delete never goes to a computer system, never goes to a user program. It always goes to the operating system. Okay. Another question somebody asked me. They'd heard of something called a WIMP. Okay, WIMP, WIMP. Okay, so many years ago, to keep things simpler, and you'll see this with Windows. You probably see it with Apple as well. Windows, the W of WIMP is Windows. So if you've got different things happening, you might have a email you might be writing, you might be looking at another web page. All these different windows appear on your desktop. Okay, you can fill the whole screen with a window, or you can have little windows doing different things. Okay, we don't always use writing, we use something called icons. So for example, if you're using Microsoft Windows 11, then you'll see a sign which is Microsoft Edge. You might use Chrome, which is a circle with red, yellow and green. So those are called icons. So rather than words, we can put more information in on a screen by using icons. So W, Windows, I, icons. We also have a pointer, which is a P at the end. Pointer, quite often a little arrow, moves around on your screen using the mouse. Okay, using the mouse. The mouse connects to the pointer. Okay, so that's what WIMP means: Windows, icons, mice, and pointers. Okay. Now, another question: what is the difference between the internet and the World Wide Web? So I was asked this just recently. What is the difference between the internet and the World Wide Web? Okay, so earlier on I was talking about URLs. URLs are part of what we call the domain name system, but under the covers it's all ones and zeros. Okay, it's all ones and zeros, and the internet is the network that connects other computer networks together. Okay, so the internet is inter meaning between, net meaning network. So what joins all the different computer networks around the world together, that's the internet. Okay, that's not the World Wide Web. Nope, that's the internet. So the internet is, you can kind of think it as the wires, the wireless, the cables that connect all the different computers together. That is the internet, and it's very difficult to join the internet because you have to be somebody very important. So most people, you, me, etc., we don't really connect to the internet. We connect to someone called a service provider. Okay, so for example, some people have British Telecom, some people have Virgin, some people have a mobile phone network. So these networks are providers of the internet. Okay, internet service providers. That's where ISP comes in. You might have heard of ISP. Who's your ISP? As I say, your ISP, maybe you've gone completely mobile, maybe you've got EE, maybe you've got Tesco Mobile, maybe you've got one of the other service providers. You are not connecting directly to the internet, you are connecting to the service provider. The service providers connect to the internet, and they have to behave themselves. They have to pass messages that are not destined for them to wherever the destination is. So for example, you might be sending a message to another part of the world. It will not necessarily go directly to where you're connecting to. It will go through other intermediate networks. Okay, other intermediate networks. So the internet is all these intermediate networks. And what is the World Wide Web? Well, the World Wide Web didn't start in around about the late 60s to early 70s. That's when the internet started. Okay, the World Wide Web started around about 1992ish, and the World Wide Web is all the pages that you see on what we call the internet, but it's actually not the internet. It's the World Wide Web. So the internet is the actual wires, you can think about it, and the World Wide Web is the messages, one sort of messages. Another sort is email. So email is not directly the internet. The internet, as I say, is email runs over the internet. The World Wide Web runs on the internet, and lots and lots of things. So I've only got a few seconds left now. So thank you for listening, and fingers crossed. If I'm still around next year, hopefully I can join Iman One and tell you more about IT. Thank you for your time. Good night.